Hey everyone, this is Sean Hall again with Elevation Officials Training. Thanks for joining us again. We're happy to bring a mid-season speaker series. Traditionally we've had speakers come in the fall and the spring to help us get ready for the summer season or to help us get ready for, the upcoming fall season. I thought it'd be really good to take a break in the middle of the season as we get ready for conference play to kind of sit down with some young aspiring NCAA officials, both from the men and women's side, to be able to give us a fresh perspective on their journey as officials. And so we plan to do that over the next 5 to 6 weeks, introducing a new person each week. And today, we are very happy to have Ben Sell join us today. Ben, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to spend with us.
Absolutely, Sean. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So Ben, tell us a little bit more about how you got started in officiating and how you developed this passion.
Yeah, so I started officiating in Ohio about 14 years ago. Grew up watching my dad referee from a very young age, probably about 7 or 8 years old. Traveled with him all around Northeast Ohio to watch, in my opinion, as basketball has evolved over the years, some of the best basketball in those prime early years in the early 2000s. So being able to watch him referee, develop those mentorships with his crews and his partners, kind of fostered in a very early age, that passion in me. So instead of having a phone as a kid, sitting up in the stands, by the time I was about 8 or 9, I was taking notes. Dad, why'd you call this play at 10:34? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? And I'd go into the locker room with him, and he'd always ask for a grade on our rides home. What do you give me tonight? Dad, I give you a B. Dad, I think you missed this, this, and this. I give you a C. And so by about the time I was 12, I went down and took the exam for the OHSAA and started officiating, 7th and 8th grade basketball, and kind of have worked my way up. And, he really instilled that passion in me, and it's kind of pushed me to continue this journey over the years.
That's awesome. What a great story. I tell you, starting at a young age, you've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And to be able to tell your dad, hey, Dad, this is what I think, That's pretty awesome. So you mentioned that you're from the Youngstown, Ohio region. How has moving around adjusted your strategies on how you are going to engage and try to get better, and more importantly, stay in the game of officiating?
One thing I've definitely learned traveling around, basketball is different in every area of the country. What is Northeast Ohio is not the same in Maryland, which is not the same in Florida. So having to adjust my game to, different call selections, different coach dynamics, different supervisor dynamics, all of that stuff is critical. And I'd say that's one thing I'm sure we'll get into later, but that's how EOTs help me out. Navigating that journey and that path of, hey, these are the supervisors you want to work for. These are some of the leagues and teams you need to watch out for in these conferences. That's critical knowledge that when I'm in, being in the military, moving every 3-5 years, you're starting fresh in every league and conference you go to, and you have to rebuild that repertoire, rebuild that knowledge to be able to successfully navigate very high level basketball in a lot of these areas, whether it be high school, junior college, or at the NCAA level.
So, Ben, you mentioned the military. Tell us a little bit more about that when you say military.
Yeah, being a naval officer, and right now I'm a student in the flight training pipeline down here in Pensacola. There are a heck of a lot of similarities between being a naval officer and being an NCAA official. Timeliness, fitness, being able to communicate with coaches, players, site directors, your crew, teamwork, being able to work as a crew, not just, the two officials you're working with, but your scorekeepers, your shot clock operators, your bookkeepers, all of that stuff, all of that game within a game that we like to talk about is critical. And I think, my job as a division officer and working with sailors and Marines every single day and working with athletes, student athletes, coaches, it's all the same in my book. And I think there's a very distinct parallel between the two that have helped me, take my game from what would have been here up to here, just because I have to. My job in the military never ends, and really my job in the NCAA world never ends either, because we're always training, always working.
And when you say training, training is getting better, is getting 1% better, is growing,
Absolutely.
right? And it sounds like leadership also is.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you talk, and it's like, wow, the elements of leadership that you have to display with your day job
Mhm.
oftentimes guide you when you're officiating out there with different crews each and every night.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing we talked about is the sacrifices that we give. Sacrifices I give in the military every single day. The sacrifices we give as officials. During these conference plays. I mean, we're gonna have families that support us in both of these aspects. I have a great support system who kind of watch me grow and have kind of helped me. My wonderful girlfriend, my family, everybody kind of supports me, and you have to have that both in military life and in NCAA life, or it's not going to work. If you don't
Yeah,
have that backbone, you're never going to get where you want to be.
yeah. So Ben, tell us a fun, interesting story of how you met Sean Hall.
I met Sean back in March at the Naval Academy after a game that he worked at Navy. That I was a midshipman at the time, a senior, getting ready to commission in May, and I'd watched Sean work a Navy game, and I was in awe. Loved the way he worked the court. Loved the way he talked with the players, his mechanics. He was just structurally sound. And I had wanted for years to get up to that next level into the NCAA, but I didn't know how, didn't know where to go, didn't know who to turn to. And so, like any good referee, I waited for Sean out in the parking lot and ambushed him in his car and said, what do I need to do to get to the next level? And luckily, Sean being a great mentor and friend now to this day, I think I can say that has helped me in my game. Through EOT, through his camps, through his training process. It's been exponential, and I'm truly grateful for our friendship today.
Well, you make us proud each and every day, Ben, and with what you do for the country and naturally what you're able to experience with officiating. Um, what do you think? What do you think going forward? Somebody that was, at the stage that you were in the last 5 years, you developed, it seems like the hunger and the thirst from watching your dad and being around the game and everything. What do you see going forward as some of the priorities that some of our young officials or aspiring officials that are listening, could benefit from?
Yeah, I think it's like 3 to 4 things that I've kind of learned over the last 2 or 3 years that I've really focused on and really liked. A couple have been from my supervisors right now down in the Panhandle Conference, Byron Rosaire, a great mentor and friend, Hal Lusk in the ACCC, and a couple of the other conference he's worked. As officials, we live in the gray. And for most people, it'll be like the rule book's very black and white. That's how we should, officiate. That's how we need to do things. But even Chris Ratstetler, the NCAA men's coordinator, has said we need to find the balance between the art and the science of officiating. And in my opinion, anybody who is a black and white official, this is what the rule book says, this is how we're going to enforce it, wrong. You're not going to accelerate. You're not going to advance, because we have to find that balance. What's a foul in this conference may not be a foul in this conference, maybe something that we let play through. Letting the players kind of dictate how we officiate a game and letting the game have flow and have pace are kind of incredibly important. Kind of along that same line is being a police officer and not a detective in officiating. When something goes wrong and everybody sees it, you call the police. And that's
Yep.
how we need to be. When you're a detective, you're looking, and that's when you get the fans going. That's when you get coaches who are upset because they don't see it the same way. And when we got to explain everything, it delays the game. It allows for time and situations that we can probably let go and let play through. Another thing I would talk about is your actions and your prep work off the court, I would say, are equally important, if not greater, than anything you do on the court. A supervisor can, and your mentors and your partners can help you navigate, block charge plays, 50-50 plays. They can help your call selection and move them forward. But getting in paperwork on time, keeping your blocks up to date, us responding to emails, talking to site officials. All of that stuff is stuff that you can't be taught and that you have to do. I've seen more officials removed from conferences, removed from games, removed from crew chief positions because they're not doing the intangibles, the other things that you need to do. They may be great officials on the court, but they're not doing, the paperwork. They're not keeping their blocks open. And when supervisors reach out and give you a game and you decline, they remember. They remember, and it holds a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I would say my final point would get to know your supervisor, get to know your conference and what they want and what their vision is. Because what you may call, like I said, I talked about it in the first part, living in the gray. What you call in one conference may be very different than what you call in another conference. The big thing I see is technical fouls. What one supervisor once called a technical, another supervisor may want you to let that play through because they got skin in the game too. As a supervisor, they got things that are going on at their level that you don't really know about, but you need to know their vision, know what they want so that you can enforce it the best way. And that's going to put you in a great position.
And well said. Wow. Dynamic. And you gave us a ton of nuggets to be able to utilize. I appreciate you sharing that. And again, we appreciate all you do for the country, for the U.S. Navy. And we're very happy that you've been successful and continue to be successful representing not only yourself, but we'll take a little bit of EOT. And
I think EOT earns a little bit of credit in this. I think I owe you a lot more than what I give you day in and day out.
Yeah. Well, Bernard, Clinton, and I are very happy to be able to do that. We live in your success and the success of many of our folks that have come through. Just know we're there for you to support you and everything and wish you the best. Best of luck with the conference season, trying to get you to the NCAA tournament. And as always, stay in touch and let me know if I can help.
Absolutely, Sean. Will do. Thanks for everything.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Take care.
You too.